on average do you think there might be, or 11th grade, any cohort?
I mean, there's close to 2,000 students at the school. I don't know if it's
five or
like 500. Each
and
level.
are they going to all supposed to be testing at the exact same time?
During the week that the grade level is testing, everyone in that grade is expected to be testing.
And there are 500, let's say, computers that are all online, that are all operating, and
the principal during her presentation at the high school on January 21st said that the district or that the school is ready. That there are more than enough Chromebooks. There's a 1-to-2 ratio at the high school, and so if there's a single grade testing, there should be more than enough Chromebooks, computers to go around.
Wow, look at this. So Chromebooks, 1-to-2 ratio at Columbia High School. Students which have been using them, setting and technology that they're familiar, typing at a keyboard, using earphones, referencing multiple screens, reading for information, connecting information to conclusions, crafting arguments. Using ELA, multiple sources at once, a primary source of video and a secondary source. Wow. Sources are aligned with the Common Core standards and curricula, Columbia High School curricula. Wow. There will be accommodations for students with disabilities and accommodations for students with overall text-to-speech, enlarged text, etc. Wow. Wow. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a huge task, and we'll have to see what happens. But I think what a number of parents are concerned about is just, and what my biggest goal in terms of getting involved in this whole
endeavor
situation is that I just really think that parents should be empowered to make a choice. I think that parents should be the ones to make that decision. There are a number of things that go along with that. For example, last night during the discussion with the board members, it came out that the district needs to have a 95% participation rate, in order to, for this to be, considered legitimate, valid. And I think state funding is somehow
I was going to ask about that.
Right, state funding is impacted. And so, I'm concerned that if parents aren't, notified, right, and they're not able to, make this decision, make an informed decision. But on the other hand, the district needs to have this minimum of 95%, people to attend and participate. They said last night that they didn't want to send a notice home, an official notice home, outlining, parents' rights to opt out, because they didn't want to send the message, right, or encouraging people, to opt out. And that can be, a legitimate concern. But on the other hand, are you talking about, maintaining state funding and getting the 95%, over empowering parents to have the right to choose?
Uh-huh.
If parents have the right to choose and more parents choose to opt out of the test across the state, that should send the state a message in terms of, the effectiveness of this test, or whether it's the direction to go in. If parents, who are the constituents, who are the taxpayers, and significant stakeholders, if more than the allotted amount of parents and students opt out, that should be taken into serious consideration in terms of the future of this test.
Yeah, it sort of sounds like it should be like a general strike. Yeah? So nobody show up, or because if 85% show up, that looks bad. So if no one shows up all across the district, or in several districts, or even in Essex County,
that's not going to happen.
Oh, no, it probably wouldn't happen. Because first of all, people would have to know that.
Exactly.
And when you don't have people knowing, and then, I understand that. It's a dilemma, not a dilemma, but, it's a situation where we don't want them to don't show up. But then, and how much state funding is tied to this. Mm-hmm. But then you have to let people know. It's like when you give a test and kids say, well, does this count? So when you say it doesn't count, then no one takes it seriously. You see, so I don't know what the solution is to this.
You see,
if there is indeed one. So
I just wanted, I have great difficulties with these tests because there was a study done by a psychiatrist out of Colorado on the Common Core, and he stated that he made a presentation before the Colorado Township Committee, and he stated that the Common Core is going to expand the achievement gap rather than narrow the achievement gap. And I'm talking about the Park, Common Core, whatever you want to call it, whatever name you want to give it. And I believe that the park is going to have a negative effect on the kids of color in this community and in many communities across the country. And if I had a kid in the school system, in this system here in South Orange and Maplewood, right, they would not be taking this park test. I would have been opting out. But I believe in this community, you're going to get more than 95% of the people who I believe is going to take the test rather than those who are going to opt out from the test. Because in the back of their mind, they're thinking that if taking the test may have a negative effect on the level that my kid is in, even though they say that it's not going to be taken into account, I think most of them are going to say, it's better be safe than sorry. Let's just take the test. And just in case, they decide they're going to use it to put my kids in level. Because if they don't, it's one less criteria. If my kid is an excellent test taker, if he does very well in test taking and he may excel in this, I think, a lot of these parents are going to say, I'm going to take the test. But let me just say this also. Pearson Charitable Foundation, the nonprofit arm of the education publishing giant of Pearson Incorporated, has agreed to pay $7.7 million settlement to the New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman after he determined that the foundation have created Common Core products to generate tens of millions of dollars for its corporate sister. The law on this is clear. Non-profit foundation cannot misuse charitable assets to benefit their affiliated non-profit corporation, Schneiderman said. The investigation by the Attorney General examined Pearson's efforts since 2010 to develop a line of classroom material and tests built around the Common Core, new K-12 academic standards in reading and math that has been fully adopted by 45 states and the District of Columbia. So this just tells me this whole thing is a racket.
Oh, yeah.
It's a big racket.
Yeah.
So you know what? Why are the school system
is falling for the racket?
Getting involved in this racket?
Well, as I posted, I believe on our website, somebody needs to follow the money. Someone's got to follow that money. So, because where's the link between Pearson and their little nonprofit wing and the various...
It's the nonprofit arm of the
okay, so it's still them. Yeah. So where's the link between them and the legislative people who've been elected into office? And how much are they paying those people to go ahead and push that program?
Lobbyists.
It's really
the lobbyists.
Yes, I know. That's where it all comes together, and the hidden sub-government and iron triangles that we talk about in politics. So, but again, see, and I don't want to get into this because we need to talk about, the impact of this, but, my thing about Common Core. And I believe many other educators would agree with me that
I think that's Common Core is the park in disguise.
The park,
a park is Common Core in disguise.
Yes, it is. It's the Common Core. There are standards that a student should be able to achieve.
That's
yes?
that's like the shark in the Super Bowl who was doing the wrong moves. That's what the park is.
I didn't watch the Super Bowl, so
you don't know that.
I don't know about that. So, at any rate, yes, I'm sure he does.
I'm trying to get into the little sports, man. There was two sharks, and one of the sharks was doing the wrong moves. Go ahead.
At any rate, so there are standards that we would all like our children to achieve. And I think that one of those standards is critical thinking. And this is something that is supposedly emphasized by the Common Core. But they use Pearson to implement. Pearson does a lot of stuff. Pearson writes the Regents exams. Yeah, in New York City. And
the books we use is Pearson.
The books you use, one of the textbooks that I use is Pearson.
Yeah.
And you used to be able to get, at least probably they all are.
They change an edition every year.
Of course.
It's
and
a
of
new
course you got to
edition
get the
every
new
year.
edition.
And they only update like 2 paragraphs in the chapter.
Yeah, and in many cases they just make the font bigger and at least with the 9th grade, the young get bigger pictures, more pictures, a font and a very large margin, and then they resell that same book. But it gets easier. The books that I could use that were 10 years old have much more information in them than the books that are made today. But at any rate, so Pearson, we know, is making the Regents in New York City. I don't, and I wonder, it makes me sort of suspect about the College Board as well, even though I don't want to be.
So
any rate,
you're getting suspect about Common Core. But
no,
anyway.
it's not. I mean, I've never finished my point. So what I'm saying is that here you have this corporation. It's not even an American corporation on top of that. They're not on any stock exchange in a secondary way. It's a British-based corporation. So here we have corporations are people too, and I guess from the outside, they have the right to come in and dictate, dictate things. So again, it's about somebody greasing someone under the table. But again, I have no problem with standards, and I actually do appreciate tests. So I'm not gonna, But let us go back.
No, I wanted to jump in because I hear what A&M is saying, and I just information is intelligence, and what the district may decide to do is not inform parents of their right, and if that's the case, I definitely agree with you that I don't think enough parents, because the other option is even if they don't formally notify parents, if parents are proactive and call the school district or call their building principal and say, my kid is not, going to take the test, etc., and they send the kid to school, they won't force the kid to test, So if you're proactive, even if they don't notify because they don't want to encourage and send that message of, people not taking the test. But if parents are just somehow aware of their rights and do get informed and act proactively, then they won't be punished. So my goal, in the next 2 weeks is to try to get as many parents and students to the next board meeting so that they can hear this policy, this decision. And even if the district decides not to create a formal policy, it would still be articulated at that meeting that parents have the right, if they are proactive, to call in. And that's when, community activists, those of us, whether it's Facebook, Snapchat, whatever those, social media forms, we need to get the message out to parents that they have a right, and to choose if they want their kids to test or not. I think if we do that, I think we'd be a lot closer to, 95%. Yeah.
But I think, TJ, what you just said there is so important because, for example, here we have a Board of Education meeting talking about park, right, which is a very important assessment in these communities of South Orange and Maplewood. We had about 52, based on my count, 52 plus or minus 3 or 4 here and there, people, residents of South Orange and Maplewood at the Board of Education meeting. There were 5 people of color, including me, Marjorie, and TJ, or TJ, Marjorie, and I. Right? There were about 5 persons of color. And the individuals who were talking about park were all individuals that didn't look like us. Mm-hmm. So what it tells me that the parents of color in this community are totally clueless about park and whether they can opt out, opt in, or whatever. So when I hear you say trying to inform the parents of their rights, I think that's very important because